we go.
Hey guys, welcome back for the sixth installment of the Fantasy League podcast with Jerry, and we've got our special guest stats man Bryson Jackstat on this week. And Bryson, you're already frozen on my screen, but
not again every time we record.
but trust me, he's here and he's got the stats ready to go. So a little bit different this week. We're just going to do one podcast, and we're going to focus on matchup previews going forward. So with that, we'll jump right in. Jerry, where did you want me to start?
He still has honors on the tee box. We'll go with Shmee versus Bryson.
Shmee versus Bryson. Okay, well, let me
while you pull that up, I can kind of give some background. So Shmee is 9-6 all time against me, and he has beaten me the last 3 times, and we'll talk about it. Doesn't look good this time, but I'm looking to defeat Shmee for the first time since 2015.
Long streak on the line.
Yeah, I believe that was prior. Didn't he leave the league for a year or two and then come back?
He did.
Yeah, so I haven't beaten Shmee since he rejoined the league.
Oh wow. Well, you got to defeat the Schmeat here.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Rough Thursday.
My notes, ouch, Kyler kind of fell back down to earth on that Thursday night football game that against a so-so Packers defense. Got a great game from Aaron Jones, who, had 2 touchdowns, or I guess one of them called back, so just 1 touchdown. I think Bryson needed a huge game from Kyler to keep up with Shmee's, kind of juggernaut he's created on the left side of your screen there. Just kind of matchup to matchup, Sutton, Thielen, Mixon, Coughlin, Pittman. I just don't think they're going to get it done against Scary Terry, 2 girls, 1 Cooper Kupp, Najee, Eckler. And even his Herbert is getting a ton of touches with Williams and Monty not doing very well. I mean, he put up pretty good numbers against the last 2 opponents. Stafford against Houston is a great matchup and should carry him to an easy victory. I have Shmee by 18-24 kind of after Thursday night, and even before that, his team's just set up really well.
Yeah, I think, I will say the Rams could find themselves in a run-heavy game script against a bad Houston team. And so it's a potential, down week for Stafford and Kupp. That being said, and Eckler had a hip issue pop up, so he's questionable to play. But like you said, it on paper, it looks like Shmee's got too much. I think this is going to be, even with the down week from Kyler Murray, I can see the Rams really leaning on Henderson this week, and Sutton's got a good matchup against Washington. Minnesota, that could be a shootout against Dallas. Mixon's got a great matchup against the Jets. So in Pittman, that can be a shootout against Tennessee too. So I think this is going to be closer than you think. I won't be surprised if Bryson squeaks out a win. Yeah, I'm gonna go with an upset pick here. I'm gonna take Bryson in a close one.
Even with Kyler getting 8?
Even with Kyler, I don't be surprised to see the Stafford Kupp stack be a bad thing this week. Because again, I mean, unless Kupp scores a touchdown real early, they could be up fast against Houston, and then just pound the ball with Darrell Henderson and Sony Michael. So
that's fair. I mean, I think that's my only route, and I could see with Houston being so inferior. It seems like there was that one game where everyone had been talking about how Cooper Kupp and Stafford were tied at the hip, and it seemed like they force-fed Woods the ball. So maybe you see some of that along with the run game, but I'm more with Josh on this one. I thought before Thursday I had a chance to keep it close. I just think Shmee's got one of the most solid top to bottom teams. My team without Kittle at tight end, I feel like is decent, but I just don't have, outside of Kyler, really a big blow up guy on my team. And I feel like to take down Shmee this week, like I need that blow up. Maybe Mixon can be that. It's just I don't have that guy who can win the week on my team. I have a bunch of solid performers, so I had this probably Shmi by 5 going into Thursday. I think he probably takes it 10 to 15 pretty comfortably now.
Yeah. Just watch out for Eckler not to play. I think that's another.
Yep.
That would
Who's he
really
got on his bench he could throw in there?
and he could just put Herbert in there and Booker,
Beasley, David Johnson. I guess he could start the Dallas defense. They're not droppable.
I don't even know why Shmi has all those guys. They're all droppable.
Yeah.
All of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want to go to the next one?
We got two for Shmi, one for me.
Hey, you might think about Mo Cox there.
Mo Cox.
Mo Alley did me solid last week, but I think Conklin's a little bit safer floor. I mean, Mo Alley, literally, you have to just pray for a touchdown.
Yeah, it's touchdown dependent for sure. You want to go to Jack versus RO?
No, I don't, but I'll do it.
Why don't you? It's not even your matchup. Why wouldn't you want to go there?
I'm kidding. I'm there, Jerry.
All right.
Do you want to go to Nels versus CT last week?
No, I definitely don't want to go there.
All right. So historically, RO, surprisingly, this doesn't happen much in this league, but has a winning record against Jack. He's 9-7 all time. Jack lost the last matchup in 2020 to RO 63-103, but they split the season series as Jack did beat him in the first matchup. So RO won the last one. Jack won the most previous.
Last week, my notes I have RO was done kind of early in last week. He conceded in our text group, but then his bread and butter came through with Tom Brady and Godwin. They got a bunch of points, and then he kind of added the cherry on top with Eli Mitchell.
I'm going to have to start measuring that as a stat. How many times you self-concede and then end up winning?
He gave me the good game after the morning games, but he came back in a fury and destroyed me. With AB out, I feel like Godwin is the huge benefactor of that. I think he's going to hit his projection or more in this game. Although the Saints are top 10 in yards per catch and total yards, and they are second in the NFL and passing TDs allowed. So they don't allow a ton of passing TDs, but I could see Godwin getting over 100 as this is a back and forth divisional matchup between those two teams. I think Jack has good matchups, but not enough to go against RO and his 2 tight end formation. I think Collins is the weakest link on RO's team, but CT may disagree. But I think KC bounces back in a huge way after 2 disappointing games in a row. And if you're going to bounce back, it's going to be Kelsey and Hill. So I expect huge bounce back games from them. I don't really love his defense. I think Chicago's really banged up, and I think they're going to lose Khalil Mack as well. So maybe he can find another defense. I don't know what's on the wire, but I still think it's enough to knock off Jack, and I have RO winning by single digits.
Hey, who's RO going to throw in here for Mitchell?
Is he out? I guess when I wrote this, he was still in.
Oh, you mean for Collins?
Oh, no. You know what? I'm looking at the Fantasy Pros projections. It has Mitchell at 0 for whatever reason.
I saw that too. I don't know why it says that.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to play. Yeah. Collins was DNP yesterday, so Collins might. That's questionable, but Mitchell is supposed to play.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about Mitchell. I don't know why that's a 0, but
yeah. Interesting. Looking at Jack's team, Gibson is banged up. He's got a tough matchup against Denver. Swift has a good matchup against Philly, but Jack doesn't even have a full lineup, so that's an automatic L according to league rules.
I literally can't find anybody that disagrees with that statement.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with RO in a big one. I will say, and you can see it on here. There could be some just poop weather.
No, I already looked it up. It's gonna be fine.
It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I was worried about that too for another matchup, and I looked at it, and Weather Channel has like 20% chance of rain, so I don't know why it has that. And it's
Okay.
like a high of 50 something, so
Well,
nothing,
for anyone who finds themselves in Kansas
nothing
City
crazy.
on Monday night, this weather update has been brought to you by Jerry Rains. Jerry, I know the rains.
It
And
says high of 45, 20% chance of rain, light winds. So I think that's nothing that KC isn't used to. The last couple games, Seattle was kind of in a monsoon, and then that San Fran Colts game was in a monsoon. I can't believe the Colts were throwing it around and put up 30 in that. That was kind of impressive.
yeah, oh
Colts
yeah. Well, I'm gonna go with RO on this one. I'm with you, Jerry. I think you're gonna see a bounce back from the Chiefs. I think Eli Mitchell is gonna have a good game against Chicago, especially if Mac's out. And with AB being out, I think Godwin is in line for now. If he sees shadow coverage from Lattimore, I think then Evans will have a big game. But I would expect Lattimore to shadow Evans if he does shadow anyone, and so I think you'll see a big game.
I think Godwin will be fine because Godwin usually plays more in the slot. I doubt Lattimore would shadow him. I think
Yep.
Evans gets stuck with that.
Yep, I agree with you. So I'm going that. I just don't like the matchups, and plus Jack doesn't have a full lineup, so I'm taking RO by default.
Yeah, I'm similar with you. I think the one scenario for Jack is hoping that the New Orleans Tampa game stays low scoring, kind of divisional clash, and that the Gronkowski Godwin Brady stack just doesn't work out. But otherwise, I think this is less about RO's team and just I don't like Jack's team for this week, especially. It's just outside of Debo, I don't see a lot there. I've got RO taking this one by at least 10.
Yep, I'm with you.
Next matchup, CT versus Wes.
Okay, let's go.
And I'm pulling it up. Sorry, I didn't take my notes ahead of time. So CT and Wes, you guys have played 16 times, and Wes has been on the losing end 13 of those. So 13 and 3 for CT, an average margin of victory of 27 points. And CT has won the last 5 matchups.
Wow.
Yeah, Wes hasn't beaten CT since the 2016 regular season. That is quite, the ownage there.
So from our other podcast, the only way he could play that much is he plays Mays twice every year and he plays West twice every year, is what it sounds like.
So last year, yes, he played both of them twice last year. He hasn't done that was a new quirk. It looks like in 2011 they played twice every year, 2012, 2013, and then through 2019 just once a year, and then 2020 got back twice a year. So CT gets his golden scheduling, the Woats.
Hey, maybe that's why they're the Woats.
But
I gotta add this together. What are you, Wes and Maud combined? It's got to be ridiculous. Let's see, 22 and 5.
So wait, so that I've got 27 matchups against them.
Yes,
And
Yeah.
9 against Maud.
So 27. So let's see, equals 117 plus 75. How many did I say you had total matchups against them?
27.
So of your league history, Maud has not even been in the league that long. 15% of your matchups have been against those two.
Well, that makes sense because
Well, not when Maud's only been in the league for like 4 years or whatever.
No, it's because Wes and I have had so much overlap and been against each other twice a year. So
That's crazy.
Let's be nice.
I said my notes, CT caught Wes on a really good week. I think CT's catching a break. No Lamar, I think makes this a way closer matchup. Wes has Lamar. I think Wes probably maybe wins a little bit easier. Giants defense is middle of the pack against QBs. I think Mahomes will have like decent Kansas City late October weather and make a great comeback. And I think he's going to hit Hill and Kelsey all day. I think they're pissed off the way they've been playing and should have a bounce back game. losing Antonio Brown was a big hit. I think he was Tom Brady's favorite target. He's such a great route runner that always finds him. He's always open, and Tom Brady always finds him open. Tom Brady very accurate, always hits him. I actually think both teams are projected way higher, and this one could be one of the lower scoring matchups of the week. They have some Pitt versus Pitt receiver there with Claypool versus Deontay Johnson, so both are going to be interested in that game. I just trust Mahomes and Jonathan Taylor, Thomas, and Deontay more than what Wes has. So I'm going to go with CT on this one by 5.
I guess I'll go this one and let CT take it home since it's his. I mostly agree with you. I think he's catching Wes at a good time. Teddy versus Lamar is quite a bit of a drop off. He's got the 5-minute man and Metcalf still going. By the way, did anybody see that story? That was wild.
No, 5-minute man.
Oh, Metcalf had a girl that he was trying to hook up with and get to come over for like a foursome, and she called him out for like being a 5-minute man, and then I think somebody on like Barstool or somebody did like a reaction video. They're like, only 5 minutes only? That's just a typical sex session. It was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, I mean, he still does have Dalvin Cook. Goddard has been, pretty good from tight end. I could see him putting up some points, but when I look over at CT's squad, I just like it a little bit more. I think Taylor against Tennessee, that's going to be a big divisional matchup. As long as he's feeling good, he's going to get a ton of carries. Mahomes is Mahomes. Jerry said the weather's going to be fine. I'm going to go with CT. I agree. I think it's going to be like 105 to like 99, a little bit lower scoring than it's saying.
Right. I agree. I just don't. I think Bridgewater is his biggest
issue.
His biggest holdback because he's like you said, like Cook and Goddard with no Ertz, and Fournette has definitely become number one. But the Saints have like the best run defense. I just think Mahomes is going to help carry CT. Like, I think we're both in agreement around 100 to 95-ish range. CT, you don't even really like commenting on your own matchup, do you?
I don't mind. I'm glad I'm catching Wes without Lamar. I think 21 is probably around where Bridgewater will end up against a weak Washington defense. I do have Fant, so I'm hopeful that this is one of those, that can kind of cancel out any points Bridgewater does put up. Mm-hmm. Metcalf has a good matchup against Jacksonville, but unfortunately he's got Geno Smith throwing to him. So Cook's got, Dallas has been surprisingly stout on defense, but Cook is kind of matchup proof. That could be a high scoring game. So, and then he's got regular season Lenny who can put up some points. But I like my matchups. I'm hopeful that the Tennessee Indy game is a shootout and that, AJ Brown is kind of back to his wide receiver one ways. Deontay is he's a target monster, and I think that 10 and maybe it's undervalued. I will see where he ends up.
Yeah.
And I'm undecided right now between Gainwell against Detroit. I know they just put Sanders on IR, so he'll be out for a few weeks. And then Cooper against Minnesota, and then Darrell Williams against the Giants. Between those three, I can start two.
Right.
And I'm undecided on who I'm gonna have at flex and who I'm gonna have at running back yet. But I haven't decided yet. I don't trust Philly to give Gainwell the ball enough. So I may have.
The good news is you don't have Jalen Hurts to worry about. He's out, right?
Is Hurts out?
Is he? Oh, I thought he was. Okay. So for whatever reason, I thought no. If he's playing, then yeah, I would not start personally.
Is Hurts injured?
All running back targets. Like it's the same when he was at OU. Like they don't give the ball to the running back. I have Sanders in the thing that I can't talk about, but yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
I don't see anything on Hurts.
Okay, I must imagine that.
Yeah. I keep going back and forth. I'll probably end up going with Darrell and the Chiefs against Giants, but
watch that weather.
Yeah, I was worried about the weather, but now because the Rain Man has told me I'm not so worried anymore. So Anyways, I'm hopeful I win. I'll take, I should hedge and take West, but I think I'm going to get up to 14 wins against West this week. And so I'll take me by 10 to 15.
Ooh.
Very nice.
So, all right, where's he next?
Scales versus Taylor.
Oh, okay. Can I buy stock in this matchup?
The fantasy man himself. We're here doing a podcast for a measly $50 league, and we've got Mr. Big Bucks over here. All right, so Scales is 8-7 all time against Taylor, so pretty close matchup. Scales has taken the last 3, including 2 of those in the regular season and 1 in 2019 in the semifinals. So Taylor trying to get back on top of Scales here.
I said Scales picked up one of the top target guys for injury-ridden team in the Packers. Solid plug and play for 2 touchdowns. Didn't get much yardage, obviously, but I mean he caught it where he gives you the most points. So usually I would laugh at someone playing Daniel Jones, but KC's defense has looked so bad lately, it's kind of laughable. So maybe not a terrible play here. Taylor's team is getting healthier. He's getting Chubb back, which is huge. Steelers are toward the bottom third in yards per carry, while Kamara has to go against the top rush defense in the Tampa Bay. He's going to have to make up points with all his catches, which Kamara is definitely capable of doing, but I just don't think Kamara is going to get much in the running game. If Taylor can pick up a decent defense, I like Taylor to win, but the one caveat to that is Prescott playing, and now I kind of just read that he may not play, or it's looking pessimistic. So with all my notes, I'm kind of up in the air. Just I guess maybe I'd go Scales if Dak doesn't play, because his backup is Justin Fields, who sucks.
He played him against me, and basically, I mean, he could have, despite his bye week, beat me if Fields hadn't gotten. I think he ended up pulling off 0 points after being negative all day.
Yeah. And then I said the last note, if you look at Scales' bench, is that I feel like this is the only week you would play Seattle's defense, and he didn't play them, and they are so droppable. Like, why do you have Seattle's defense?
All these droppables here.
That's the one week you would play Seattle's defense, because they've been like one of the most historically bad defenses in NFL history up to this point, is maybe this week against Jacksonville, and you didn't. And I don't even know why you picked him up.
I also don't think in a redraft that Lance is roster. Like I would drop him if I were Scales too. I know he's got Daniel Jones.
I wanted Lance real bad at the beginning of the year, just seeing what he did in preseason, and he's just not lived up to it. So yeah, in redraft leagues, I don't really see him being rosterable. There's in the keeper leagues I could see it, but not this league.
Go ahead, CT.
Yeah, I mean, I think this comes down to whether or not Dak plays or not. Because I think Chubb's got a tough matchup against Pittsburgh. Robinson does have a good matchup against Seattle. And Diggs and Chase both have good matchups, but they could also find themselves in games where they become kind of run first game scripts. So unless those guys do some damage early, they could end up getting shut out. Over on the other side, Jerry, I think Kamara has a tough matchup against Tampa Bay. You mentioned that. But what I really think that Henderson is going to have a huge game against Houston. I think that they're going to get up early and then just kind of ride him the rest of the game. And who knows if it's going to be a Justin Jefferson or an Adam Thielen week for Minnesota. You just never know. With that,
whatever side of the field Diggs isn't on.
Yeah. That's true. And so with that, I mean, I want to take Taylor here, but it's dependent on if Dak plays. If Dak plays, I think Taylor will win. If Dak sits, I think Scales will win.
I'm putting that in our standings. Dak.
Go ahead.
Yep, go ahead, Jerry.
I was saying I was putting that in our notes, CT, of our picks, that we both have Taylor, but Dak dependent.
Yep. Yeah,
And
that's
you can third that. I'm the same boat, and I think what is scary for Taylor here is that it's actually a Sunday night game, so we might not get an actual report on that before he has to make that decision at quarterback. So this could really end up messing with Taylor. You know, he might end up being in a spot where he's just got to leave Dak in and hope for the best. You know, if Fields plays like last week, you know, putting up a 0 might be just as good as playing Fields, so it might not matter. But yeah, I think, you know, when I look at scales, I've actually got him by probably 5 if Dak plays anyways, but I think if Dak doesn't, it's a blowout. I mean, he got 13 points from his like one true severe weak spot outside of quarterback here. So I think he's setting up well, and there's just a lot of question marks primarily at quarterback for Taylor.
yeah. Yeah.
Good points. Yeah, that could be. Taylor could have a crazy Sunday. Hopefully, he's not too busy. He's gonna have to watch that. Next, I got Mays versus Nels.
Okay, let's go look at man. Hey, you remember when Mays and Nels got into it in the front yard of the college house?
Still don't. I don't think I was there.
I
Well,
was not there.
were you there, Bryson?
No.
Oh, well, they got into a little fight, and it was around this time of year. There were like a million leaves in the front yard, and it was like a matador, Nels, and the bull, Mays. And Nels just kept moving out of the way, and Mays would fall into the leaves and then get up and try to bull rush him again. It was real funny. So
Mays is a bull rusher when he's angry, like when he put Murph through the door or the wall at Lake Weekend.
oh man, that's Maze's go-to. So, anyways, go for it, Jerry. Take us.
All right, here I'll start here real quick with some stats. So Nels is 6-3 all time against Maud. No big surprise, winning record. He's won the last 3. Mays hasn't beat him since 2017. And going back to our conversation before, Mays looks like he played 1 year in 2010 and then 2016 and on.
Very nice. Both Mays and my wife have Chase Edmonds on their team, and they're both 1-6, so they have a little something in common. The projections have this one close, but I think Evans and Allen are both, shoulders above Julio and Judy just coming back from injury. Harris and Cordell, again, are shoulders above Edmonds and Moss. Although Edmonds did have a good game, I would just take those two on the left, especially with Harris going against the Chargers. Defensive front with rushing. They allow 5.4 yards per carry, which is last in the NFL. Unless they figured out during the bye, I could see Harris having a huge game. Burrow versus Benny and the Jets is going to be a massacre. Even though Jalen has a good matchup, he's been playing like absolute garbage until the fourth quarter. So I don't really expect too much out of Jalen. For my matchup, I would love it if he played better, but I just don't see it. My last little note is Mays looks to Cook this weekend with Cook and Cooks in his lineup. The mighty $25 acquisition will make his debut this week for Mays, but it won't matter as I have Nels by double digits.
Yeah, I'll add, temper expectations on Nels. I think Burrow is going to end up in a run-heavy script against the Jets because I think they'll jump on them pretty quick. I think Evans is going to see some shadow coverage from Lattimore, so I wouldn't be surprised if he has a low-scoring game. But I think the Keenan Allen, Damian Harris, Corduroy, and I won't be surprised to see. Well, actually, you know what? Dernest Money Johnson, Chubb's coming back, I think, this week against Pitt. So,
I don't know why he has him in there.
What options does he have otherwise? I mean, I guess he could start the best tight end in the league, Uzoma, the second best tight end in the league. He could start Michael Carter. Not a lot of options. I mean, I
wouldn't start Ernest.
No, I wouldn't either. But I think this is going to be the lowest scoring game of the week. But I'll take Mays. I mean, not Mays. I'll take Nels to beat Mays in a low scoring affair.
Nice little psych trick there.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think we're all in agreement that this is going to be low scoring. I've got this in the 80s. I think, obviously no Devontae this week or no, wait, who's out for him? Devontae
Yeah,
just played.
Devontae was out.
Devontae's out.
That's right, COVID. I'm like, duh, the Packers played. Yeah, no Devontae this week. Hurts, obviously Nels quite a bit. I'm with you. I'm a little bit worried about the Burrow game script with the Jets. They just may not need to throw the ball around all that much, but I think I actually, like him as much or maybe a little bit more than Hurts still. Neither of these teams look great this week. When I look at Mays, it's just, too many cooks in the kitchen, I guess you could say. I just don't like his tight end and his flex play. Dearness is interesting, play as we talked about on Nels's side. I've got all things considered. I got Nels squeaking by like 85 to 82.
Man, all right.
Yeah. And somebody brought up Judy's coming back off injury. Like I hate playing a guy the first game back like that. I know he's kind of forced into that situation, but It'll be interesting to see how he gets. Hopefully it doesn't affect Sutton personally, but we'll see.
Yep.
Very nice.
All right. Well, does that leave us? Do we have one matchup left, which is
that's fine.
Jerry, I believe.
Jerry and CB.
Hey.
Jerry, any guesses on your overall record here?
I would say CB like 6-5 or something.
Try 13-7-1. CB has nearly doubled you up. That said, Jerry, you've gotten the best of him twice last year, once in the regular season, and then in that really coveted 9th place consolation game, you took him down 106-75. So congrats on that.
Yeah. I didn't write notes, so I'm just gonna kind of wing this one. Sunday or Thursday night football didn't go exactly my way. Rodgers was down in the at the 3-yard line and maybe even the 6-inch line and tried to pass it in and didn't get it. Those 2 touchdowns could have been huge for fantasy purposes. I kind of played Ertz just to go along with Arizona being in a passing game script, but it didn't really help me, but it didn't really help Hopkins either as he was hurt and limping off the game. Where it did hurt me was Connor got both of the kind of the goal line touches and he just waltzed right in. It wasn't even tough. So he only got 22 yards, but they gave it to him in the red zone because they don't do that with Edmonds, and he got 2 touchdowns, so that was good for Connor. If Dak doesn't play, Zeke is going to get a ton of touches, so I feel like Zeke just went up, and if Dak doesn't play, Lamb's going to go down. Obviously favors CB there. Woods, who knows? It's not a great game script if Stafford keeps going after Kupp, but Woods is such a talent that he could still put up a big game. Mike Williams has kind of been – he was a stud at the beginning, and now he's kind of going back and forth. I don't know how he's going to do against New England, but I just think with Josh Allen and his team is set up to put up big numbers, and mine isn't. I mean, I'm playing Boston Scott because I can't trust D.D. Williams. I'm playing Devontae because he gets a ton of air yards, but I guess Jalen is so inaccurate that he's not really catching them. My only hope was Aaron Rodgers and Derrick Henry having huge games, and Rodgers really didn't. So I'm not very optimistic about my matchup this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting if Minnesota stacks the box. If Prescott's out, I don't know who Prescott's backup is.
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush.
Yeah. I saw that. I have no idea who that is or what college he went to.
He went to. You remember? He went to Central Michigan. You remember that play that he beat OSU on? He was the one who threw that.
Yeah. Can't say I remember that.
Time down, and he threw a touchdown pass.
He kind of looks like he's got the Andy Dalton fire engine red beard thing going on.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, with that, I mean, if Minnesota stacks the box against Zeke, I don't know that helped it other than. Him getting volume, I think it would be low efficiency volume. But Allen's got a prime matchup against Miami. Yeah. Woods has got a prime matchup against Houston potentially. Pitts has really started to break out, and Williams could blow up any week. I think this comes down to how big a game does Derrick Henry have, and does Ridley finally have one of those wide receiver one games, or does he keep kind of doing what he's been doing? I'm going to go with. I don't like the matchups really for either team, except I think Henry could blow up and have one of those 40-point games.
Last week and he didn't.
Well, that's because the Chiefs' defense is more formidable than you think, and they surprise you with how good they are sometimes. And you're starting Boston Scott, who who knows what they're going to do in Philly.
Yeah, it's not good.
No, he might get 2 carries, and
I don't think Williams will get any. I'll maybe look at the wire, but Devontae Freeman is on a bye, and so I was really kind of out of options.
Yeah.
Ever since Mostert got hurt, he got me 2 carries and then is made of glass. So
yeah, I would be interested to know how many total points Connor has scored this year, and how many of those points are from touchdowns.
It's got to be.
He now leads the league in rushing touchdowns. He's tied with maybe Henry in touchdowns.
Wow, I would guess more than 50% of his points are from touchdowns. So I would guess around 65% of his points are from touchdowns. So he's the ultimate vulture. Anyways, I'm going to take CB, and what I think is going to, I can see this one being like 95, 90. But I'm going to take CB.
Yeah, I've got this one. I think before Thursday, I was said this is kind of a pick 'em. This one kind of falls in the same category as I feel like my matchup where Jerry, I just feel like you didn't get enough out of Thursday and you had some stuff go against you on the other side. The thing that could go your way, Derrick Henry, like we said, he could always blow up. Colts defense is somewhat stingy, but they've given up, I think, the last 4 or 5 games, well over 100 yards to Henry. So I'm sure they're going to feed the beast. You've got some potential there, but overall, we talked about Josh Allen against Miami. He's rated here on Fantasy Pros the #1 quarterback. Unless that game gets out of hand, he's gonna feast. Pitts has been coming on like an absolute beast as Matt Ryan has seemed to figure things out. And if Dak's not going, yes, Minnesota could sell out on the run, but he's going to just get so many carries. Overall, I just like CB a little bit more in this one. I've got CB by 10 or 15.
Yeah. I mean, on paper and after Thursday Night Football, it's an uphill battle. If I do win, it's a pretty big upset, I think. What was it? Oh, the weather for Buffalo isn't as great as the other ones. It says 10 to 20 mile an hour winds and chance of rain is at 40. So could be a little windy in Buffalo, but Josh Allen with his legs and
I was going to say,
create plays.
Feel like it'll just move to him running the ball more. So who knows? Yeah.
He'll cover 19 easy. I think that's all CB has to do is Allen has to cover what Rodgers did, and the rest of his guys are going to beat my guys. So damn, I'm not gonna be happy going 3-5. That's almost panic mode. I'm in the last of the contenders at that point.
I'm trying to remember. I put out that data. I think 3 wins almost knocks you out. I don't know if I ran it for 3, but So through week 8. Here's how it plays out. If never has a 1-win team after week 8 made the playoffs. Only 1 2-win team has, and only 4 3-win teams have. So, I mean, basically, you've got to get 4 wins through week 8 to really have a legitimate shot at making the playoffs.
I will say we have an extra week this year, so that'll be interesting to see if anyone's able to sneak in. So there's a bloated middle class right now because of the 2 1-6 teams, but we'll see. So I switched out because we talked about Prescott potentially being out. I switched out Amari Cooper. I'm not going to start him.
Interesting.
So I'm going to go with the 2 running backs. So I hope Boston
Scott. That one being Sunday night, like you have to make the call, kind of like that's just a sucky. You never want the injury report guy on Sunday night or Monday night.
Well, the good news is that I've got Daryl not playing till Monday. So I do have some flexibility to kind of wait and see, but yeah, we're going with it. So anyways, well, I think, does that conclude?
That's
that all?
everybody.
All right.
No, I saw myself frozen for a second. That's so weird.
You're still frozen on my
No,
screen.
I'm very much alive and moving.
No, you weren't on my screen, Bryson. So I think in the recording that I post, you'll be moving.
Okay. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in for the 6th installment of the Fantasy League podcast with Jerry and Jack Stats and CT.
Oh, hey, CT, just one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry. I was just being like your boss, making you late for the call.
Yeah, that's the guy. He's notorious for that. We've got anytime you're on a call with him, and there's a few other guys that are like that too, which it's fine. It's just
Priorities, man.
It's frustrating. So kick rocks.
There you go.
All right, have a good one, guys.
See
All
ya.
right, guys. Take care.